No, back to another big talking point today. The state capture report, the second part of the report has come out. There are 3 parts in total. That came out yesterday, recommending investigations of the members and directors who sat on the Denel board. That's one talking point, but also a lot of focus on 3 words. Aviwe Mtila. Let me bring in Transnet, Malusi Gigaba, and also one of the other big words as well has got to be the Guptas as well. So let's start with 1 being Transnet. A lot of focus on them, just how damaging state capture was.
Well, Gareth, you can't talk about Transnet and not mention the 3 primary architects and implementers of state capture at Transnet. They were named as Brian Molefe, the former CEO, Anoj Singh, the former CFO, as well as Siabonga Gama, all appointed, of course. At central to the appointment was Malusi Gigaba, the public enterprise minister at the time. One appointment that was eyebrow-raising was that of Siabonga Gama, who was in 2009 dismissed from his position because of ongoing charges, 3 charges that could have seen him dismissed permanently. But he was brought back by Malusi Gigaba, and of course the one eyebrows-raising issue around that was the many vocal voices behind the scenes that were actually calling publicly for him to be brought up. One such voice was from Gwede Mantashe, the then Secretary General of the ANC, mentioned in the report as well. But we do understand that the recommendations are that the police should investigate the 3, as well as Gigaba, for a list of crime ranging from corruption and racketeering, as well as fraud and negligence. I just want to go through just a summary of what they're charged with. They're saying that they accepted cash bribes at the Gupta family compound, the famous Saxon World compound. They broke the PMFA Act numerous times. They misled Transnet board about a multi-billion rand locomotive contract. They deviated from the National Treasury procurement law, and they also mismanaged Transnet finances with unjustified price increases. Now, when you look at that, it would talk to specifically those 3 procurements of the locomotives. One such locomotive and increasing prices would be the 1,064 locomotives that were acquired by Transnet. Initially, they were supposed to be acquired at 38 billion rand, but the price was inflated by 16 billion rand, and eventually they were acquired by 54 billion rand. Some of the rot that we have now come to know in the volume 2 of this state capture report. In fact, volume 1 of it looks at Transnet specifically, 506 pages, and volume 2 looks at Denel, 140 pages.
And there's still part 3 to come out as well. If you haven't picked up a copy of the Sowetan newspaper, by the way, their front page, we spoke to the executive editor earlier, their front page of the Sowetan newspaper, 4 photos, exactly the people you're talking about: Brian Molefe, Malusi Gigaba, Siabonga Gama, and Anoj Singh. In fact, there's the team, crack team here on the South African Morning, bringing it up. And take a look at what it says there, Aviwe. You can see it: lacked credibility, told falsehoods, lied. It's the architects of state capture. Thank you, team, for bringing that up so quickly. It's just a great reference to exactly what you are talking about. I do have to find out, though, is this report being used by law enforcement? Because the inquiry cannot call for prosecutions, if I have this right. What they can call for, as the inquiry, is call for an investigation into the accused. Have I got that right?
Yes, and from government stance, let me start there. President Cyril Ramaphosa, when the first report was out, did say that, in fact, them as government, they won't even be commenting publicly on the contents of the report up until they've received all 3 parts in their entirety. When it comes to the law enforcement agency, I had a call with the NPA just yesterday, Tunzi Maga, the spokesperson, just asking, what have you done then by part 1 that you received and the part that you're now receiving, part 2? He told me that at the ground, there's a task team that's been set up to look at what's going on, but no teeth really in terms of going after the culprits that we have now come to know as some of these facilitators. Guptas, we know, are abroad at this stage. But he did suggest that there'll be real teeth in going after them at the end of February. Around the same time that we're expecting the finalization of all 3 reports, we do understand, given to President Ramaphosa by the 28th of February, we're expecting him to hand over that report to Parliament by June, and in fact also indicate how he'll be acting with the report.
Yeah, and still a lot of criticism for the president as well, that he's getting the report by the end of February, part 3. It's the final part of this. Why is it taking so long before handing it to Parliament? It's the expediency that I think so many people are expecting. But Aviwe, thank you. We've refilled the coffee machine for you upstairs. You've got hundreds of pages to still get through. Aviwe Mtila following part 2 of the State Capture Commission report here. As we get more